Good morning. This is the Blaze World Podcast, where conversations are worth hearing and seeing. You can watch each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And for more information about past episodes and this show and future shows, you go to my website, which is behind me, blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, coming to you from my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we share positive news and uplifting stories about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Desiree, Arney, and also Andrea Dames from the Reach Out Foundation of Bucks County. And guys, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching you. Okay, that is um, Desiree, and that is also Andrea. And is it Andrea or Andrea Marie?
Andrea.
Andrea. Okay. And thanks, guys, for joining me. I should mention to you that I know a little bit about Desiree in terms of her background. She is the executive director of the Reach Out Foundation of Bucks County, a nonprofit mental health drop-in center and homeless day shelter focused on helping people help themselves through their support, uh, accountability, and compassion. Prior to her work at Reach Out Foundation, she spent 17 years teaching character education in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and was also the author of two books centered on personal growth and human connection. Desiree is passionate about building innovative community-based solutions for mental health, recovery, and homelessness. Now, I'm at a loss, Desiree, Andrea, in that we're just meeting now. If I can ask you to kind of give your background a little bit, and if you can keep it to under like 10 minutes, you think you could do that? Your background to keep it under 10 minutes? Okay,
Do
I'm kidding a little bit. So, Desiree, tell me a little bit about you.
you
I'm
want? Oh,
sorry, Andrea, I'm sorry.
oh. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and I started at a young age just getting involved with some volunteer work when I was in high school. I got married pretty young. I had three children. I was a stay-at-home mom, and so after years of doing that, I decided I wanted to get back to work. And after a couple different jobs, I felt like I was called to behavioral health because I had relatives and friends that struggled with substance use disorder. Um, not so much mental health, but mostly substance use disorder. So I felt the need to learn more and get educated about that, and also to help people other than my family members. So that's what really brought me to this field. I guess it was probably about 2017 when I really got immersed in this field. I got certified as a recovery specialist and worked at another agency in the area. And I really loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. I loved everything about it. Unfortunately, my own son was struggling at the time with substance use disorder, and with the whole fentanyl crisis coming upon us at that point, it really took hold of him as well as many of my clients. And so, unfortunately, with his case, he had an overdose that caused a brain injury, an anoxic brain injury, about almost 7 years ago. So I was taken out of that job and put into a different role of just, tending to Chris and his needs, and following whatever we needed to do on a daily basis. So that's where my focus was for about 6 years. And then after we were able to finally get him somewhat stabilized with good caregiving and his own home, I was able to get back to my life and figure out where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing. And so that's when I wound up here on the board, and then volunteering, and then eventually getting hired. So it's been about a year and a half almost. And I just love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love our clients. I love being out in the community talking about what we're doing and just trying to reach as many people and share what we do and how we want to spread the word and just help as many people as possible here in Bucks County.
So how do you find the Reach Out Foundation?
So probably 2017-ish, I was reading a local little publication, and it was devoted to nonprofits in the area. And I learned about Reach Out in that publication, called them the next day, came right over, and got to know the director, the former director, I should say. And he just became a mentor and a good friend. And we ran in the same circles with the opiate epidemic and all the different events locally that were happening at the time. And I would tell everybody else about bringing people here or coming to check it out. I brought my own son here and some other friends. So it's just like a hidden gem here. Like Desiree said, we're celebrating 30 years. And so many people still come to our door and come in to take a tour and say, wow, we've lived 3 blocks over there and 2 blocks over there. We never knew what this place was about. So we've been shouting from the rooftops
Mhm.
here since we got here about what it is that we do, what we can offer, and how we really just want to spread the word and help people.
And it's going to change, of course, Andrea, in that now you're on the Blaine's World podcast, so everybody will see you, not only in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, but throughout the world, conceivably. So let me go back to, if I can, Desiree. And the question I always ask Desiree the first time I meet somebody, I'll ask Andrea this question in a second as well, is that as a child, you grew up where?
In Croydon, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you're a local person,
Yes.
Croydon, Pennsylvania. As a child growing up in Croydon, Pennsylvania, did you always know you wanted to be an executive director of a nonprofit? Was that your goal as a little girl?
So I absolutely never saw this coming. Never. And it is the exact place I belong. So going back to my childhood, I recall going to the city with my parents, visiting family members from there that my dad, it was his goal in life to get us out of the city. And so he did. So we always visited. And whenever I saw homeless people, it literally broke me. Elaine, it broke me. Like I remember crying. I could not get over it. It would take days. And when I took this position, and everything else I've done in my life really has prepared me for this job. And there's no place I'd rather be. I told my kids, this is the best time of my life. And they're insulted because they're like, wait, what about us? Because I was a stay-at-home mom and I taught character ed around their schedule, for 22 years. But this, I feel everything I've ever done and been through has prepared me. And I'm so excited to um, really help people move further than just standing still and or being stagnant. Like we really have to have a solution to these problems and support for the community members that are struggling with mental health and people who are sleeping outside, right outside our doors every night.
So how do you find the organization in Bucks County then? How do you get involved?
Andrea and I, our sons were friends, they're skateboarders. And so we would travel in the same circles and we both had the same heart for the same things. And so we have been friends for a long time. But I moved back to the area because we moved away and I moved back to help a family member that was sick. And Andrea and I got together and we both were on the board here and we were volunteering. And then there was an interim director who left and it just happened. So that's how I got involved with it. But I was actually friends with the former director as well. The former director who was here for probably 15 years. And so he actually brought us all here, and now here we are. He left, and we're here. He's in South Carolina, retired.
Oh, I see. So since you mentioned him, let's give a shout out to that person in case
Doug
he's
Hicks,
listening. What?
Douglas Hicks.
Okay, Douglas Six. And so
Mhm.
make sure we'll get a copy of the tape that he was mentioned on the show
Yeah,
today.
definitely.
So the nerve of the guy left the area. And we
Uh-huh.
should also talk. I think I told you off the air that I actually did a show on the Reach Out Foundation many years ago when I was doing a radio show. And I interviewed, I think, the then executive director with somebody else. And who was that?
Douglas Hicks.
No, before Douglas Hicks.
Kathy Short.
Oh, Kathy Sharp.
Yeah,
Before,
so
yes,
I
founder.
interviewed Kathy, and since we're not mentioning names, we have to give a shout out to our mutual friend Brian Cohen was involved in that as well.
Yes, yes. He said that he told a mutual friend that we have, him and I have, that he was on the board, and I thought I knew every single thing about Reach Out, and but I didn't know his name. And then they came in, and what a guy!
Yeah,
Really a
but
great guy.
it's funny because I remember I interviewed him, I think, with Kathy. I was doing a radio show at the time. So you got on board, and you've been involved how many years now with Reach Out?
Probably 12, but
Okay,
I've been the director for a year and a half.
okay. And so I asked Andrea the same question in terms of this little girl growing up. You grew up where?
In Philly, Philadelphia.
In Philly, you mentioned. And so
Mhm.
same thing too as growing up as a little girl in Philly. Was your goal in life to be involved with a nonprofit organization?
I would say no. I remember back in like first grade, I always wanted to be a teacher. That's always kind of what my heart told me. I went through Catholic school for 12 years, and most of the girls I went to school with went into teaching or nursing. It was kind of like those two fields for the most part. I didn't really have time to spend 4 years in college at that point, so I became a paralegal instead, and I enjoyed that for a little bit. Then I got married, had my children, and like I said, I was at home. But throughout my life, from when I was in school, high school, up until through parenting, mothering my children, I was always involved with, organizations of some sort to help people. And so it gave me, like Desiree said, a lot of skills and a lot of, experience to bring to this job now. And I just, like she said, like this is an exhilarating and exhausting every single day, but we just wouldn't have it any other way. And we just are thrilled to be here. It's hard to put it into words, really. It
Well,
is.
what's really cool also about what you're doing, and same thing too with Desiree, is you're back into teaching. So even though you're not a formal teacher, I guess
Correct.
you every day I guess you're involved in teaching.
That's true.
And
Yes.
the exciting thing, and we'll talk in a second about the organization, but the exciting thing is I guess you're teaching not only your clients or folks who come through the door, but you're also teaching the public, I guess
Right.
to work with this population, to how to get involved. And I'll go back to Desiree, so that you've been an executive director for a little bit. And so if I can put you on the spot and ask you we'll do this in like 5 minutes or less, can you tell us about what the organization is all about? Reach Out Foundation. We won't time you, but just in essence, what's the organization?
So originally started out as a drop-in mental health facility where they peer-to-peer people who with struggling with mental health could come and find support. And then 3 years ago, Douglas Hicks was very instrumental in opening the addition, which is the day shelter, because the homeless population was growing. So we offer mental health drop-in groups and classes, peer support, and for the homeless shelter side, we offer showers, laundry facilities to use. And of course, everyone knows in Bucks County that Reach Out, we all eat very well because we have a lot of support from our surrounding restaurants and food establishments.
Well, that was a big shift then to all of a sudden becoming a facility that people can the drop in aspect. Is that for just a day, a week? How long is that process?
So they can drop in. We have 4 groups a day or 2 classes and 2 groups. And so they can drop in any of them. They don't have to go to all of them, but they're certainly welcome. We're open 5 days a week. But the homeless side of this program opens at 6 a.m. because obviously people are sleeping outside. We want to get them
Sure.
off the feet and inside. So it's very easy to be here because nothing is forced, but we are open and welcoming people to join us. And it's really important that they feel welcoming. That's the most important part of our job.
Mhm.
And if they join you, what does that entail? Do they get a meal? Do they get a shelter? What do they get?
So they can sign up for showers. They can sign up to do laundry. They definitely get meals all day. And but we do have scheduled lunch and snacks and things like that. But and then most importantly, Andrea and I we tell everyone all we really need to do first is to let people know we see them and we hear them and we care. And so they are cared for here first. They know we care, and then we're able to speak into their lives and teach them and help them and guide and direct them in with peer support.
So the nice thing, what I hear you saying is being a drop-in facility, I guess there are no upfront requirements. You don't have to show income. You don't have to show anything else. You just walk in.
Yes,
Okay. And so when they walk in, where do they walk into? Where's the facility?
it's in Pendle, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's kind of It has a Langhorne post office box,
Mm-hmm.
so it's Langhorne really, but it's a little borough
And where exactly is it located?
at 152 Monroe Ave in Pendle.
Okay. And so if people drop in, they can come in anytime, day or night, or what are the hours typically?
Yes, on the shelter side, they can come in from 6 a.m. and we close at 4. And on the just if you're just dropping in and you live in a group home or in an area around here, or if you're just anyone who needs mental health support, we open at 9 for the drop-ins mental health side, and we close that at 2.
Okay. And talk about how many people you actually service or work with. What are the numbers, ballpark?
I would say on a regular basis, we have from 25 to 35 people in the building. That's not including staff. But in the winter, when it was really cold and people were just coming, like we were almost to capacity. There was a day we had 45 only on the homeless side, and then an additional 15 on the mental health side. So when I say sides, it's kind of, I feel like I need to explain that. So the homeless side, where the washer and dryer and the food and the facilities are, it doesn't mean that the homeless population obviously can't come to the mental health drop-in groups. They need them too. It's just that they are two separate things that are together under one roof that function differently. But of course, everyone that is homeless is welcome to come to the groups.
And since we mentioned it, I'll turn it back to Andrea. I'll talk a little bit about the groups then, so that we mentioned that you run groups. What are they exactly, and who are they for?
So, as Desiree explained, we do have kind of two separate programs under one roof here. So, on the mental health side, that's where the groups take place. We have two groups in the morning and typically one after lunchtime. Everybody has lunch the same time here, like 12 to 1. And groups have changed over the years to meet the needs and the desires of the people. So, we have, say, like a music therapy. I forget the exact terminology for it, but we find music is great therapy, all different kinds of music. People like different genres of music. So, and it keeps, people kind of up to beat so
Excuse me if I may. It always starts though with Good Morning Retail.
oh yeah,
Because that's the mental health check-in where we
Mhm.
see where everyone is at
That's
in
true.
their morning,
Mhm.
so that we know how to help them throughout the day. So we always do that first.
Yeah.
And just
And
go
then
back on that. So you call it Good Morning. What is it called?
morning reach out.
Okay, and explain what happens there.
So Andrea, or the other facilitators will do a check-in. So they'll just go around the room in this because we're in a circle in that room, about what's going on with you. How are you doing today? On a scale of 1 to, or like some kind of scale. And so everyone shares, and you don't have to share, but most people do because they really feel safe,
Mhm.
and they feel like this is a family. Really,
Mhm.
that's the culture we've tried to build here.
Mhm.
And so we always do that just so we can get a gauge on how everyone is doing in the morning.
Okay.
So
And so they go through that the first thing, and then they go into consider if they want to, right? Andrea, I guess it's optional. They
right.
want to go into these groups. So you mentioned music was one such group. What are some of the others?
There's a writing group. There is
Awaken.
Awaken.
That's like an exercise group.
Yeah.
No real true exercise, but just kind of getting up and moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's so important. We used to have a chair yoga that we don't have at the moment, but people want, if they'd like to see that come back, we could always talk about bringing that back. We also have games, different bingo or Uno or a big hit here. We do have some crafts from time to time, depending on what people are in the mood to do. It's really kind of like participant, we call them participants here, participant led. We try to let them have as much input as they like. We don't want to tell them what they should be doing or what we want them to do. We want them to tell us what they like and what their interests are at the moment.
Also, the culture here is that it's more about engaging each other in an activity because people feel more secure and feel like they're doing something with someone. So we have a lot of hands-on like crafts and art and things like that because it helps develop relationships. So that's really our approach, where it is a group, but it's also based on people doing things together that are creative, because that always helps people open up.
Right, right.
So,
Sometimes, sorry.
no, go ahead, please.
Sometimes in the group we'll put out stickers and markers and paper, and they'll create these happy notes, we call them, and we can use them for various things. If we have clients or participants, I should say, like in nursing homes locally or in the hospital, we use them for that. We have a school next door, parish, that's very supportive, and sometimes they're doing drives for certain service projects, and they could use some help with that. So that's a nice way for them to be creative and also to give back to the community.
So talk about, if you would, the fact that then the people who run these groups, are you one of them? You call them facilitators? Are you a facilitator?
Myself, I do from time to time do that, but we have wonderful facilitators on our staff. So my focus is typically in other realms of reach out.
Okay. And so what do the facilitators do then? What's the role of the facilitator?
So on the mental health side, they would be the people in charge of the group. So they keep time, they make sure that they're touching on each person. They would be, of course, well trained if something were to occur during a group. Sometimes people get upset. Sometimes
Triggered.
they're triggered. Sometimes we have to call 911. Not often, but people have things that pop up. And so here is, again, like Desiree said, we're like a family. So they feel comfortable in telling us, hey, I'm not feeling well. And then we decide, hey, this might be, something that we need to tend to with a phone call to, an ambulance. And so
too, I feel it's important to point out that we have group facilitators, but we have facilitating instructors. So, for example, Valerie Todd, she is someone we have class. It's called Reach Out Academy, and it's in the classroom in our building. And so every day, her and Chris Mahoney teach life skills. They do mock interviews with the homeless population mostly because these are critical skills that people either never were taught or they need to relearn how to do. And so these particular facilitators have lived experience. Both have been in prison, both have been addicted to drugs, both have been homeless, and they have turned their lives completely around and are giving back to the population that they once were a part of, which is being homeless and really out there desperate. So it's so amazing because I could speak to something. I actually was homeless, so I could speak to that too, but I can't speak to being in prison. I can't speak to some things that Valerie and Chris can. And so the population that lives outside every night, the participants, they can speak on a level that they actually feel like this person understands me. So there's a lot of relational things going on in these classrooms because for the simple fact that because Valerie and Chris are so vulnerable with their own lives, it frees people to open up, to share their lives. And while they're sharing their lives, they don't know this is happening, but we are seeing it. They are getting to know each other in ways, the people are getting to know each other in ways they never would have, but for this class, because they're sharing and understanding, oh, your mom passed away too. Oh, you have kids that you don't get to see too. So it's like there's, discovering these commonalities that really make us, all of us, just people who are trying our best, so it's really built a family culture here.
I imagine the exciting thing for the people who come to your facility is that they also are getting heard for the first time, in terms of many times. So I guess a lot of them are never heard or they're just on the street and nobody ever listens to them. So I guess one of the things you're listening to them for maybe the
Yeah.
first time
yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely.
Talk about what happens then after they go through the program, be it a week, month, however long it takes. Talk about, quote, if you will, the graduates of the program, or do you have some success stories you can share?
Yes, we do. So the academy is about the individual and their progress individually. So not everybody can get to a level. They do their best, and as
Right.
long as they're doing their best, they get recognized for that. For if they can only do one class because they've been triggered and they have to take a break to come back, they're trying. So we try to reward and recognize every single victory because it's huge. It's huge. Every little victory is a big victory for real. So we had one graduate out of, I think we had 15 students. Everyone participated, but we only had one graduate. And the reason was, well, first of all, he participated in he was never missed a day and never missed a class. That's hard to do here because there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of things going on that, you could check out, but he never did. And so we had a graduation and we had a donor who sponsored him to take his friends to the movies. And it
Nice.
was, and you know what? It really is heartwarming because he said, I never wore a cap and gown before. So, he got that opportunity and that just like, it made me cry. Like, really? So there's things we learn every day about the people here.
Very cool.
That
So you actually had a graduation ceremony for these people?
we
And
did.
what is it? These are people who graduated from the academy, what you call it?
The Reach Out Academy,
Yeah. And
and
so
10 weeks.
10 weeks, I was going to ask you, that's pretty regular, becoming 10 weeks. And
Yeah.
so they graduate from the academy after 10 weeks. What happens at that point in time? They're done, or can they come back to the facility, or?
So once they attend, they can always attend. It's always
Right.
open to everyone. But usually after that, like we have had participants step up to volunteer leadership positions. So we're trying to get them back to like feeling like, let me be something part of something bigger than myself. Like those groups are focused on get your head right. Try to, do your best to, you know, really think differently. Because Valerie has a class called Thinking for a Change, because you have to change your thinking if you want to change your life. So when they graduated, we had several of them who asked, can I offer to help? And so those are the things that we really love, because it's like, oh, they once were. Do you remember him back then? And he wouldn't even look at anyone. And now he's like, the greeter, so we give them positions that they can step up to, that they are capable of, but we challenge them too, because, they have times when they slide back to their old attitudes, and we check them, but we check them, and they know it's from a place of love and support, not a place of condemnation or shame, so they can receive it. So we're excited about the leaders we're bringing up here, right?
Well, let me ask Andrea then something else that is probably exciting. So, if people want to get involved, either people who have gone through the academy or people in the community, do you work with volunteers or do you accept volunteers?
We absolutely do. We are very appreciative and welcoming of anybody that would like to come and give an hour a week or 3 days a week. We'll take anybody's time that they'd like to devote to our cause and our mission here and what we do. We'd like for people to come in and do something that they enjoy. And so they tell us, we say, what would you like to do? Some people like paperwork. Some people like organization. Some people like to drive people around. Some people like to work with numbers and help, in the office with grants and that type of thing.
Or crafts.
Or crafts, yeah. So we have some volunteers that have been coming here for years. And so the people know who, these volunteers are, and their family too. It's a reach out family here. And so sometimes a participant will feel comfortable talking with or opening up to one of those volunteers because they've established such a rapport with them, which is wonderful, because we are sometimes so busy every day just running around and doing what needs to be done. We don't have the time to sit and listen to people one-on-one, even though we would love to do that. We just don't have enough time in the day, unfortunately. So we've found like that one-on-one time is really crucial for people to get their needs met, get some things addressed, whether it be health concerns, legal concerns, or whatever it could be. And then figuring out kind of like an action plan to help work with them, either with the volunteer or with our staff or with us, to help set those goals and help make some progress,
One of the most important things we do, Blaine, is we know every person by name. We get to know them. So we take the time to sit down and listen to them ourselves, to get to know them. And then we try to almost match them with a volunteer that actually can help them in that area. But we know every person's name, and they know we know their name. They know we care about them. And, so one of the requirements for being a volunteer is coming in and just showing up, right? Because whoever shows up is the one who gains the influence. And if you want to help someone be better and do better as a volunteer, you have to show up. So that's what we say: show up, listen, and look someone in the eye and recognize that they are here. And, because that's exactly what they need first, or they're not going to trust you. Right. And so we've had volunteers come for, months and just show up and do whatever they're asked to do. But then they start seeing the person, people start to see them all the time, they start talking, and it just happens organically. And they develop relationships. And we found that it's the best way.
So if folks want to volunteer, how do they get more information?
So they can go to the website and they can fill out a contact page, link, or they can just stop in. We're open.
And if you would, since you mentioned, what is the website?
It's rofbucks.org.
Relatively easy. And if they go there, what else will they find there?
So they'll find one of our newest exciting initiatives that we introduced in January. It's called Shelter in a Box. So for lack of a better way to say it, it's like a kit so that local churches, on nights where there's no code blue but it's still freezing out, people can open their church doors with this kit that we provide them. So we provide, like, say, 40 sleeping bags, a case of water, snacks, 2 staff members, and all the church has to do is open their doors. So they're kits that we've developed, and we learned to do it, and we learned what works and what doesn't work, is because last year a church around the corner let us stay in their basement 21 nights. Wow. Last year. So
Very
we
nice.
learn what to do, what not to do, what works and what doesn't. And it's been a raging success because, especially when we put it out there, like, this is so simple. All you have to do is open the door, right? And if the church wants to, for their own secure peace of mind, have a church member there if they want. But we have every confidence that the place is going to look better than you found than we came to see it, because we always do above and beyond. That's that's the reputation we want to have in the community, because we tell people every day, a family circle, if we want people to hear us and see us and listen to our struggles and ask for help, we need to be good neighbors here at Reach Out. And that means good neighbors in the town here, good neighbors at the churches we visit that are hosting us overnight. Like, we have 7 churches hosting us overnight, random nights, because but the more churches we get, the less nights people have to stay outside. But the shelter in a box has been a true godsend. And it all came from learning from this one church that had the courage to open their doors to 25 homeless people.
And what church was that?
It's called Sozo
Okay.
Church, and it's Sozo Ministries or Community. And it's on Durham Road, right around the corner. We could walk there, we could walk back, so transportation was never an issue.
Very
So
nice. So same question. So if a church wants to get involved or a church hears this, they'll find the information on the website.
yes.
Okay. And very exciting. And since you mentioned it earlier, you also mentioned you've gotten tremendous support. I mean, 7 churches is pretty good. You also mentioned you got tremendous support from local restaurants. And are they
Yes.
the ones who provide the lunches, or you work with them, or how does that work?
So we have 2 local pizza places, right? That come into.
Well, it's not really from them. It's a
Okay.
church. There's a church in Newtown, just above Pendle here. They send 12 pizzas every Monday through a local pizza shop. So they
Very nice.
pay, donate that. Then they send 6 pizzas every other Thursday. And they also bring bag lunches on Tuesday. So that church does support us in many ways.
Yes. We get support from Wawa, Chick-fil-A, and we never run out of food. It's like and we get so much that we share with recovery houses and just places in the area. And it's like the more we give, the more we get. So we get to share more. So it's awesome. We have a lot of generous people in this community and generous business owners.
So let me ask you then, moving forward, Andrea, as board president, how long have you been the board president?
Oh,
About.
about a year.
Okay. In your spare time, you're board president. What do you see moving forward? So you guys have made tremendous strides over 30 years, whatever. What do you see for the future, Andrea? What are some of your goals, or what are you looking to accomplish?
So I think that we would be welcome to the idea of finding a larger facility that would be able to serve the community better. This is kind of an older building, not very handicap accessible. And we've learned over our time here that's a real necessity for many of our participants. And as we grow and as we reach out to more people and partner with more agencies and individuals in the community, we're going to outgrow this space. So that's one of the things that we see on the horizon for Reach Out's future. Like Desiree had already explained a little bit about the Reach Out Academy. We spent some time in Salt Lake City last October. A donor was generous enough, David Roman. Sorry, I just mentioned his name,
No,
but
then please. I'm
we were
glad.
talking
Donor.
we're talking about shout outs. So David's been a wonderful support of us in many, many, many ways. And so we went to Salt Lake City to immerse ourselves, a team of 8, in a model out there that Desiree's family was able to find and suggest to us. It's been 10 years, I think, and it works. It's a therapeutic community. And we went there. We met every person from the CEO down. We sat in on the groups and the meetings. We toured the facilities, and it was just something that spoke to us. And we thought we need to figure out a way to bring that back to Bucks County and tweak it in a way that works for Bucks County. So that's on our vision moving forward into the future. And Reach Out Academy is a small step in that direction. And so we throw a shout out to the Other Side Village and the Other Side Academy in Salt Lake City, because they've become mentors for us as a program.
And Desiree, the same kind of question in terms of being executive director of this. 5 years from now, where do you see the organization going?
5 years from now, I see a thriving therapeutic community that has not only housing, because we can't put people in houses they can't take care of and don't know how to keep up. A therapeutic community, as in the Other Side Village, they have all the services and the resources in the middle of their community. But the difference is, this is not a tiny village that we just give people houses and services. This is a village and a family, a huge family out there, that the people are responsible for everything. It is a self-governed community. And the reason it works is because there's extreme accountability, and it works because it's peer led, and it works because everyone agrees to the policies that they adopt. And then the number one question everyone has is, how is it funded? And I love this question because what they did out in Salt Lake City is nothing short of amazing. They had some businessmen come in and help the homeless population develop and create enterprise. So inside 5 years, they are the number one moving company, the Other Side Village moving
Wow.
company in the state of Utah, projected to make $5 million this year. They have a gourmet donut shop that would put any donut shop around here to shame. And they have a storage storage facilities at the moving company because they expanded. And then they have 3 gigantic thrift stores, and they started a hop on, hop off trolley service.
And the Airbnbs.
And they have Airbnbs that are they have one from each, like, on their property. They have little models of them, like a colonial or English Tudor, and so that's where guests come, like us. They weren't finished when we got there, but we would have stayed there if they were finished. So they're just really doing an amazing work out there. And the secret sauce is the accountability and the responsibility that people are taking, and just self-governing, and everyone feels like they're a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone feels like they contribute, and everyone feels like they're valued and that they matter and that they belong.
Well, that sounds like some trip. The only bad thing about it, seems like, is you now have another 25 years worth of stuff you could be doing,
Yeah.
but that's quite some facility. So let me just wrap up by again reminding folks, if they want to get more information about the Reach Out Foundation of Bucks County, best bet is to what, go to the website or
Yes.
drop in, you
Come in.
mentioned. And the website once again was?
It's rofbucks.org.
Okay. I'd like to thank both you and Andrea for being my guest on this edition of Blaine's World podcast. I also like to thank my producer, Cappy Setti, and hopefully one of these days we'll bump into each other. That'd be great.
Yes. Thank you
Thanks,
for having
guys.
us.
Okay, I
You.
so much appreciate this. That was great.
Bye.